Alright, how's it going, everybody? I have been working on this Storm Druid. So far, I'm really happy with how it's been turning out. I want to go over the items first and some like key pieces. So, I feel like this is key for single target. Critical strikes with storm skills charge the air around you for 1.4 seconds, causing a lightning strike to periodically hit an enemy for 440. So, this is any ticks that happen from the storm damage is going to start proccing this 440 lightning bolt to come down. So we have hurricane that's storm, our cataclysm is storm, our wind shear is storm, lightning is our main skill right here, that's storm, and cyclone armor when it hits people is storm. So this should be proccing all the time. It's very heavy on resource. So this amulet right here, basic skills gain increased attack speed. I'm also using a single hander with a offhand instead of like a heavy hitter two-hander, just for even more increased attack speed. That's going to regenerate your resource. This right here, I'm trying to replace this. Lightning Storm critical strikes spawn 3 dancing bolts to seek enemies. I'm not super impressed with how this is performing, so I'm going to replace that eventually. I'm just not sure with what. This is also key to the AoE. It really helps destroy those packs. So, lucky hit. Up to 19% chance when dealing lightning damage to overload the target for 3 seconds, causing any direct damage you deal to them to pulse 308 additional damage to surrounding enemies. So, it's a bummer that this isn't lightning damage. It's wind. But you spam lightning storm and that causes all the enemies you hit to start to pulse on each other and create a huge area damage there. And it also works with hurricane, calling down bolts and pulsing that area damage. On my ring, since it's a channeled skill right here, channeled, you are standing still a lot, so you get this increased damage. Notice my attack power goes up as I stand still. So that's what this one does. 7.9% increased damage for each second you stand still, up to 30. So most of the time you're channeling this, it's 30% extra damage, which is really nice. Nothing else I'm really considering mandatory for the build. This one, if I get swarmed, kind of gives me some good regen. This spreads some of my crowd control, which you'll see here once I go over the skills, that there's a lot of immobilize and crowd control in this build. I just switched off of Blood Hell. Didn't have enough points. There was a passive that lets you gain resource when you howl, which was really nice, but with this attack speed, I noticed I haven't been needing it as much. This one's really common. The barrier when you damage an elite just helps in those fights to keep your health up. And then this does 50% increased damage to unstoppable enemies. So the dungeon bosses, the world boss. And those are the items. I'm trying to get critical strike because that plays into the build. So now to kind of go over the skill tree. This right here, wind shear, is for resource generation. You don't have to run up to someone to start the resource generation. It's a really long skill, so you can start generating a resource if the enemies are kiting you away. It also makes them vulnerable, which will come into play. And vulnerable makes them take 20% increased damage. And then each enemy hit increases my movement speed by 5 up to 20%. So you can start ripping through the dungeons a little faster once you stack these movement speeds. And one hit refreshes all 4, so you just got to keep hitting stuff at least once. This right here is going to be the bread and butter. Lightning Storm. So conjure a growing lightning storm that deals 234 to 286 damage per strike. So we can get up to 5 strikes. The size of the storm carries over for 4 seconds. So if you channel it and it's a full storm, and then you run out of resource, you have 4 seconds to channel it again before it starts. It's just a 1 strike. This is all resource right here, so increased spirit, only got that to get this. Basic skills generate 30% more spirit, so not only are we attacking faster, but we're generating more spirit. And then our core skills cost more spirit, that's why it's important for the attack speed in this node right here, but we're doing 30% increased damage, so that was one of the big buffs for damage right there. I have Cyclone Armor on my gear, which passively just grants 20% non-physical damage reduction, and you can cast it to push enemies away. It also does proc the lightning and proc the pulse, because it can crit, and it does lightning damage. So the wolves, they don't do too much other than just hold aggro off of you. There's some of the enemies that like to do really long, powerful wind-up attacks. It's nice to have those not be on you all the time. So these 2 wolves actually do a pretty good job taking aggro. So this part of the tree right here is where a lot of the intricacies of the build are coming together. So it mostly revolves around Bad Omen. This build does pretty great with AoE, but the single target's lacking, so Bad Omen really helps. There's a 30% chance when dealing damage to a vulnerable, immobilized, or stunned. So remember, this right here, 20% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds, and you shoot it really fast. Immobilized. So we took immobilized here. Lightning Storm. 8% chance to immobilize enemies for 3.7 seconds. I don't believe I have any stuns, but immobilized and vulnerable is how we're getting this to proc. There's a 30% chance, though, a lot of extra bolts, including the legendary set, are coming down on single targets. Lightning Storm skills in general have a 20% chance to make enemies vulnerable, which is 20% more damage, and it's going to help Bad Omen. And then Charged Atmosphere. I'd like to put more points into this, but I'm just out of points. Every 18 seconds, a lightning strike hits a nearby enemy. So it's actually more than just 1 bolt. It comes down as multiple bolts. And then this last one, dealing lightning damage to enemies has a 5% chance to immobilize them, so that plays even more into Bad Omen, helping it proc. If it's already immobilized, the lightning damage dealt to them is increased. So it's not a huge increase, but just having this right here is just a little bit more chance to immobilize. And last skill, I took Cataclysm, just because in a huge fight, it really helps kind of whittle down the enemies. So that is the build. I'll go ahead and run this dungeon and show you guys how it looks.
I'm not ready yet.
So you start by charging your resource. If there's a larger enemy, you can put on your Cyclone. And this build really excels in high density. Has a little bit tougher of a time with single targets, but once you start proccing everything, it starts to pop off. So I like to run this dungeon because it has these 3 elites right next to each other. Okay, so we're full resource, now we unleash. Proc the Cyclone. that cursed chest on him. So there's the cyclone kind of push, keep those bigger enemies away from you. You can focus your dogs on enemies. Rolling in the legendaries on this one. You can see the resource generation's pretty quick.
I'm not ready yet.
I like this dungeon because you get those 3 elites real close, and then at this last door here you have the 2 split offs that also have 3 elites, so it's like 6 guaranteed items every time.
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, we can follow you.
I must wait.
Just gonna throw out these blues. It's also a really good dungeon for farming gold. And I don't grab that either. I do not like to do the boss on these for efficiency for farming items.
I must wait.
If you can group these guys up, that pulsing lightning damage does help. Does help quite a bit.
I cannot carry anymore.
Oh, that's the build. I guess I'll show it on the boss at the end here. Go ahead and cut to that.
I must wait a moment.
We're starting with 0 resource. We'll charge that up.
I must
Start our
wait.
cyclone. See, that's a lightning bolt proc.
I must wait.
For the druid, certainly not bad.
My burden is too great.
Alright, if you guys have any questions about this build, definitely feel free to ask in the comment section. Again, thanks for watching, guys.